Welcome back to GH Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about a heartbreaking and devastating sequence of events that have deeply shaken the lives of the Falconeri and Quartermaine families. The latest developments involve Rocco Falconeri's struggle for survival, the revelation of long-hidden family secrets, and the tragic, untimely death of a young boy who was caught in the crossfire of an explosive family drama. Rocco Falconeri's life took a terrifying turn after he consumed alcohol at a party, not realizing the dangerous consequences of his actions. After falling unconscious and slipping into a coma, Rocco's fate hung in the balance. But against the odds, Rocco miraculously woke up, much to the relief of his parents, Dante and Lulu. Despite regaining consciousness, Rocco was still in fragile condition, and his health remained a serious concern. The fear that he might not recover fully lingered in the hospital room, creating a heavy atmosphere for everyone involved. Once he regained enough strength, Rocco had a heartfelt conversation with his father, Dante, and his mother, Lulu. In this emotional exchange, Rocco expressed his hopes that Dante and Lulu would not place blame on Danny or Gio for the events that had transpired. Rocco insisted that it wasn't their fault, and explained that his curiosity had gotten the best of him when he decided to try alcohol for the first time, hoping to experience what it was like. His words were full of regret, yet his understanding of the situation showed a maturity beyond his years. After this difficult conversation, Rocco requested to see Gio, his close friend and the person he had known for so long. Little did anyone know this meeting would lead to one of the most shocking revelations in the history of Port Charles. Earlier, Dante, full of anger and frustration, had physically confronted Gio, believing that Gio needed to take responsibility for Rocco's state. Dante had been quick to lash out, unable to control his fury over the situation. But now, with Rocco's request to speak to Gio, the stage was set for an unimaginable confrontation that would forever alter the lives of everyone involved. Gio, feeling the weight of his strained relationship with Dante, entered Rocco's hospital room as requested. At this moment, Dante and Lulu had stepped out, leaving Rocco and Gio alone. As they began to talk, Rocco suddenly shared a bombshell that stunned Gio and changed everything. Rocco revealed that just a few days prior, he had stumbled upon a DNA test report stored on Lulu's computer. The results of the test revealed that Gio was, in fact, Dante's biological son. This was the shocking truth Rocco had uncovered, and he couldn't keep it to himself any longer. He shared the discovery with Gio, knowing that it would have profound consequences. For Gio, the news was a complete shock. As an orphan, Gio had never known his biological parents, and this revelation turned his entire world upside down. The man who had just moments ago struck him in anger, believing him responsible for Rocco's state, was in fact his biological father. Gio was overwhelmed by the revelation, struggling to process the depth of the information he had just learned. How could this be? The very man who had been furious with him was now revealed to be his father, a man he had always known as a figure of authority and protection, but never as a parent. Before Gio could fully digest what he had just learned, an unexpected and horrific event unfolded. Rocco, after confessing this earth-shattering secret, suddenly convulsed violently, his body seizing uncontrollably. In an instant, Rocco's life was cut short, his young body succumbing to whatever was poisoning him. Gio, horrified and frantic, immediately alerted the medical staff, but it was too late. Rocco's death was swift, and the hospital staff could do nothing to save him. Portia, the skilled physician attending to Rocco, quickly made a chilling realization. Rocco's sudden and unexplained death mirrored the deaths of two other tragic figures in the lives of the Corinthos family, Dex and Sam. Both had died under similarly mysterious circumstances, and Portia now understood that Rocco's death was no accident. She recognized the signs of poisoning, realizing that someone had deliberately injected Rocco with a lethal substance, just as had been done to Dex and Sam. This discovery was horrifying, indicating that there was an unseen hand at work, orchestrating these deaths with chilling precision. The death of Rocco left Dante and Lulu shattered, completely devastated by the loss of their beloved son. Tears streamed down their faces as they grappled with the incomprehensible tragedy. Their joy at Rocco's recovery had been short-lived, replaced now with unbearable grief. Dante's emotions, already raw from the discovery of Rocco's true paternity, boiled over once again. His anger flared, and in a moment of despair he turned on Gio once more, blaming him for the death of Rocco. Unable to contain his rage, Dante attacked Gio, his grief manifesting in a violent outburst. Gio, overwhelmed with grief and guilt, found himself in an agonizing position. Not only had he just learned that Dante was his biological father, but he had also become the target of Dante's wrath. Gio could not fathom how to reconcile these conflicting emotions: the anger, the guilt, and the sorrow. The man who was supposed to be a protector, a father figure, had just physically attacked him in a moment of intense grief. Gio was crushed by the weight of the situation, feeling entirely responsible for the death of his newfound brother, even though he had no direct role in the events that led to it. The final twist came when Dante once again demanded that the truth about Rocco's paternity remain a secret. Dante, in his grief-stricken state, insisted that neither Gio nor Lulu should tell anyone about the DNA test results and that Rocco's true paternity should remain hidden. He made it clear that he did not want to know who Rocco's biological father was and wanted to keep this devastating information buried, believing that revealing the truth would only bring more pain to their already broken family. For Dante, Rocco would always be his son, and that was all that mattered, even if the biological facts didn't align. The tragic death of Rocco, combined with the stunning revelations about his paternity, left everyone involved in a state of emotional chaos. For Lulu, the loss of her son was compounded by the guilt of having kept such a monumental secret from Dante for years. She realized that the foundation of trust in her relationship with Dante had been irrevocably shattered, and her hopes of reconciliation were dashed in an instant. For Gio, the truth of his paternity was both a blessing and a curse. While he had finally learned the identity of his biological father, the revelation came at a terrible cost. His father's anger and the tragic death of Rocco made it clear that the path ahead would be fraught with pain and difficulty. Gio, feeling the weight of the family's grief, made the decision to keep the truth about his parentage to himself. He would never reveal to anyone that Dante was his biological father, believing that the secret would only cause further harm to an already fractured family. As the Falconeri family prepared to bury their son, the aftermath of Rocco's death would leave a lasting impact on every person involved. The relationships between Dante, Lulu, and Gio would never be the same. The secrets, the lies, and the betrayal that had surfaced in the wake of Rocco's death would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The tragedy of Rocco Falconeri's death, the explosive revelations about his true paternity, and the emotional fallout that followed will continue to shape the lives of the Falconeri and Quartermain families. The road to healing will be long and fraught with difficulty, but the hope remains that in time, the truth will help them find a way forward. Next, we will dive deep into the chaotic and emotionally charged saga of Willow Corinthos, whose life has taken a dramatic turn as she grapples with her controversial choices and the fallout of her relationship with Drew Kane. Buckle up as we explore the intricate layers of Willow's decisions, the impact on her family, and the underlying psychological struggles that drive her to defend a man who many see as manipulative and unworthy. This is not just a story of romance gone wrong. It's a tale of self-delusion, societal judgment, and the desperate need for validation in a world that seems to be crumbling around her. Let's start with Willow's apparent inability to see the reality of her situation, even when it's staring her in the face. On the surface, it might seem like she's on the verge of an epiphany, a moment where she could finally acknowledge the wreckage she's caused in her marriage to Michael Corinthos by choosing to pursue a relationship with Drew, Michael's cunning and morally ambiguous uncle. Yet every time she inches toward this realization, she retreats into a fortress of denial. This isn't just a simple case of stubbornness, it's a profound internal conflict. Willow has dismantled the foundation of her family life, alienating loved ones and sacrificing stability for a whirlwind affair that many around her view as reckless. The whispers in Port Charles grow louder with each passing day, with friends and family pleading for her to see Drew for who he truly is, a man who operates in shades of gray, often prioritizing his own agenda over anyone else's well-being. But Willow, caught in a storm of her own emotions, consistently chooses to shield him, painting herself into a corner where admitting fault feels like admitting defeat. Delving deeper into her motivations, we uncover a poignant insight shared by Nina Reeves, Willow's mother, who has a unique perspective on her daughter's behavior. Nina astutely pointed out that Willow's fierce defense of Drew isn't entirely about him, it's about protecting her own self-image. Imagine the weight of realizing that you've upended your entire existence for a choice that might be catastrophic. Willow can't bear the thought that her judgment could be so fundamentally flawed. She's not just defending Drew, she's defending the narrative she's crafted for herself, that she's a woman of discernment and integrity who couldn't possibly make such a colossal error. To admit otherwise would mean facing a harsh mirror reflecting her vulnerabilities and mistakes. So, in every heated exchange or whispered doubt from those around her, Willow doubles down, arguing that Drew is misunderstood, a victim of circumstance. This isn't blind love, it's a desperate act of self-preservation. She's torn between the life she once had with Michael, a life of predictability and safety, and the intoxicating, albeit dangerous, allure of Drew's world. The stakes couldn't be higher as she wrestles with the fear that her decision might define her as a failure in the eyes of everyone she holds dear. The public perception of Willow's choices paints an even bleaker picture, one that adds another layer of complexity to her predicament. In the court of Port Charles' opinion, Willow isn't seen as a tragic figure caught in a web of emotion. She's often labeled as naive, even foolish, for falling under Drew's spell. The town's residents, from the hospital staff to the local coffee shop patrons, murmur about Drew's reputation as a man who's no stranger to scandal. They see him as a slick operator, someone who bends rules and manipulates situations to his advantage, leaving a trail of broken trust in his wake. Willow, in their eyes, is merely the latest casualty of his charm, a woman so enamored that she's lost sight of reason. This harsh judgment stings, but Willow counters it with a narrative of conspiracy, insisting alongside Drew that he's the target of a vicious smear campaign. She clings to the idea that external forces are at play, orchestrating his downfall. While there's some truth to the notion that Drew was recently set up in a compromising situation involving drugs, Willow's leap to absolve him of all responsibility feels more like wishful thinking than grounded reasoning. After all, history hasn't been kind to figures like Drew. Public officials caught in compromising scenarios often fuel stereotypes of excess and moral decay. Willow's insistence that Drew is above such behavior, especially since she's never witnessed it firsthand, only fuels skepticism. What if her absence during his darker moments is the very reason she's blind to his true nature? Moreover, let's not ignore the specifics of the incident that has everyone talking the night Drew found himself drugged with ketamine, a situation that spiraled into public humiliation. Willow was quick to cry foul, pointing fingers at unnamed enemies plotting against him. However, this defense glosses over a critical detail. Even if the drugging wasn't his choice, Drew's track record of questionable behavior leading up to that moment can't be erased. Take, for instance, a recent incident that's come to light through hushed conversations around town. Just last week, credible sources revealed that Drew allegedly bribed a staff member at the clinic where Michael is currently recovering from his own personal struggles. This wasn't a random act of charity, it was a calculated move to keep tabs on Michael, or worse, to interfere with his healing process. Meanwhile, Willow, in a bid to salvage some semblance of connection with her estranged husband, boarded a flight to Germany, hoping for a heartfelt reconciliation, or at least an honest conversation. Unbeknownst to her, Drew's underhanded actions may have sabotaged that very chance. This wasn't just a betrayal of Michael, it was a betrayal of Willow's trust, though she remains oblivious to the full extent of Drew's machinations. The irony is palpable. While she defends him as a man wronged by others, his actions behind her back weave a different story, one of deceit and self-interest. Finally, as we wrap up this deep dive into Willow's tumultuous journey, it's impossible to ignore the looming specter of karma in this tangled web of relationships. Willow may believe she's fighting the good fight, standing by Drew against a world that's out to get him, but the universe has a way of balancing the scales. Drew's past misdeeds, whether it's manipulating situations for political gain or meddling in personal affairs like Michael's recovery, cast a long shadow over any claims of innocence. Willow's unwavering loyalty might shield her from seeing the truth now, but how long can she ignore the cracks in the facade? The people of Port Charles are watching, waiting for the inevitable fallout. Will Willow wake up to the reality of who Drew is before it's too late? Or will she continue down this path, risking further isolation from her family and friends? The whispers of karma grow louder, reminding us that actions, whether driven by love or delusion, always come with consequences. As this drama unfolds, one thing is clear: Willow's story is far from over, and the choices she makes next could redefine her life in ways she never imagined. Next! We will uncover the intriguing developments surrounding Cody Bell and Molly Lansing Davis, whose unexpected friendship in Port Charles has everyone buzzing with speculation about a potential romance. What started as a contentious rivalry has blossomed into a bond that teeters on the edge of something more. Join us as we explore the sparks flying between these two, the classic soap opera dynamics at play, and the dramatic possibilities that await them in the weeks ahead, especially with a high-profile event on the horizon. Will a simple misunderstanding ignite passion, or will it complicate their already tangled lives? Let's dive into this captivating storyline with fresh insights and exciting new details. First, let's rewind to the origins of Cody and Molly's relationship. which began with anything but friendliness. When these two first crossed paths, the air practically crackled with tension. Cody, the rugged, rough-around-the-edges stable hand for the Quartermain family, and Molly, the poised and principled assistant district attorney with Cassadine roots, seemed like polar opposites destined to clash. Their initial encounters were marked by sharp words and mutual distrust, Cody viewing Molly as an uptight elitist, while Molly saw Cody as a troublemaker with little regard for rules. However, over time, shared experiences and vulnerable moments have shifted their dynamic. Whether it was Cody lending a hand during a stressful day at the courthouse, or Molly offering a kind ear after one of Cody's many personal setbacks, they've slowly built a foundation of trust. Now, casual conversations over coffee at Kelly's diner and shared laughs during unexpected run-ins around town hint at a connection that goes beyond mere acquaintance. The people of Port Charles are starting to take notice, whispering about the unlikely pair and wondering if friendship is all there is to it. Could this slow-burn camaraderie be the prelude to a passionate romance, or are they simply two lost souls finding solace in each other's company? The potential for romance between Cody and Molly introduces a classic soap opera trope that never fails to captivate a misunderstanding that could either spark love or sow chaos. Picture this. The duo hasn't officially crossed the line into dating, but there's an undeniable undercurrent of attraction. Their banter is laced with flirtation, and their lingering glances don't go unnoticed by perceptive onlookers. So, what happens when someone mistakenly assumes they're already a couple? This age-old trigger in the world of daytime drama often acts as a catalyst, forcing characters to confront feelings they've been suppressing. For Cody and Molly, such a mix-up could be the push they need to explore what's simmering beneath the surface. Perhaps a well-meaning friend at the hospital, catching them sharing a quiet moment, teases them about being Port Charles' newest power couple. Or maybe a stranger at a local event comments on their obvious chemistry, catching them off guard. Will this external perception make them laugh it off as absurd, or will it plant a seed of curiosity? Could they start to wonder if there's truth to the assumption, prompting late-night conversations about what they truly mean to each other? The dynamic of the bad boy and the good girl is a recipe for fireworks. Think of Cody's rebellious streak clashing yet complementing Molly's by-the-book demeanor. Yet, there's also a risk that this assumption could backfire, making them overly self-conscious and pushing them apart as they grapple with the labels others place on them. A particularly juicy scenario unfolds as we look ahead to the much-anticipated 2025 Nurses Ball, an event synonymous with glitz, glamour, and of course drama in Port Charles. Imagine Cody and Molly arriving at the red carpet together, perhaps having agreed to attend as friends to support the cause and enjoy a night away from their respective burdens. Molly dressed in an elegant emerald gown that accentuates her poised demeanor, and Cody looking unexpectedly dashing in a tailored tuxedo, a rare departure from his usual jeans and leather jacket, make quite the striking pair as they step into the spotlight. The media, always hungry for a scoop, descends upon them. A persistent reporter, microphone in hand, boldly assumes they're a romantic item, asking pointed questions about how long they've been together or what drew them to each other. Flashbulbs pop, capturing their startled expressions as the crowd murmurs with intrigue. Given Molly's high-profile status as both a Cassadine and a legal figure in town, and Cody's more grounded role tied to the Quartermain estate, the assumption carries extra weight. Everyone loves a story of opposites uniting. Will they play along with a nervous chuckle, dismissing the idea while secretly feeling a flutter of excitement? Or could this public moment force a deeper introspection, making them question if attending together was truly just platonic? The Nurses' Ball, with its history of unexpected confessions and romantic entanglements under the chandeliers of the Metro Court Hotel, might just be the perfect backdrop for their feelings to come to a head. Adding another layer to this unfolding drama are the personal histories Cody and Molly bring to the table, each carrying emotional baggage that could complicate any budding romance. Molly is still reeling from her devastating breakup with TJ Ashford, her longtime partner since their teenage years. Their relationship, once a cornerstone of her life, crumbled under the weight of unspoken resentments and diverging paths, leaving Molly with a bruised heart and a fear of diving into love again so soon. She's spent years building a future with TJ, only to find herself starting over, questioning her instincts about relationships. On the other side, Cody is no stranger to heartbreak either. His recent split from Sasha Corbin hit him hard, compounded by the shocking revelation that Sasha is actually his cousin, a twist that turned his world upside down and left him wary of opening up to anyone new. Both are nursing wounds, seeking stability in a town where chaos reigns. If the assumption of them being a couple sparks romantic vibes, will their pasts act as a barrier, making them hesitant to risk further pain? Alternatively, could their shared experiences of loss and betrayal draw them closer, offering a safe space to heal together? The emotional stakes are high, and any romance between them would need to navigate these lingering shadows, testing whether they're ready to rewrite their stories with each other. Lastly, let's consider the potential ripple effects of this. Are they or aren't they speculation on their lives and the wider Port Charles community? If the rumor mill starts churning, whether from the nurse's ball incident or a casual misunderstanding at a local haunt like Charlie's Pub, it could stir up drama far beyond just Cody and Molly. TJ, still grappling with his own feelings about the breakup, might react with jealousy or concern if he hears Molly's name linked to someone as unpredictable as Cody. Meanwhile, Sasha, despite the familial twist with Cody, could feel a pang of complicated emotions seeing him move on, especially with someone as different from her as Molly. Then there's the professional angle. Molly's role as assistant district attorney means her personal life is often under scrutiny, and a perceived romance with a man like Cody, whose past isn't exactly squeaky clean, could raise eyebrows in legal circles or even jeopardize her reputation. Cody, too, might face judgment from the Quartermaines, who could see Molly's elite background as a mismatch or a complication to their already tumultuous family dynamics. Will these external pressures and swirling gossip create chaos, driving a wedge between them as they fend off unwanted opinions? Or could it unite them in defiance, pushing them to explore a connection that defies expectations? One thing is certain, in Port Charles, nothing stays under wraps for long, and the fallout of this potential misunderstanding could reshape relationships across the board. Thank you for joining us on ABC General Hospital Spoilers. The journey of Cody and Molly is just heating up, and we can't wait to see whether a simple assumption will light the spark of romance or douse their friendship in drama. What do you think? Will they take a chance on love, or are their pasts too heavy to overcome? Drop your predictions in the comments below, and stay tuned for more twists and turns from the heart of Port Charles.